Seated pull down. I have a right spring attached to the push-through bar from the top. I'm going to place one hand to the bar, and I want to keep my hand slightly in front of my shoulders. That depends, how far in front of the shoulders depends on the individual. Basically, look at this shoulder and make sure it's nice and it's a nice even line. If the hand is too far back, the shoulder starts to lift because we don't have enough mobility here in the pec minor, pec major, okay? And then something else moves out of place, and my shoulder blade probably slides towards my spine. So if I move the hand slightly forward on the bar, this can drop, and then I can continue a little bit of external rotation in the arm. So the elbow is pointing forward, and I'm just grabbing the bar and pulling down. I'm going to pull, I'm going to scoot a little closer. You want to be at a distance where the bar clears your shoulder. So if you're all the way underneath and it hits your shoulder, then you're too close. And you want to think of pulling the upper arm in towards your torso. So that's a really good cue already for somebody to feel the right muscles work. So by pulling the upper arm against the torso, you can start to feel the underarm area work. If you have as if you're holding a pencil or a clutch purse or something under your arm, you're going to feel the back of that armpit work. Okay, you pull down. You can just hold it. This is a really great regression to just hold it for somebody whose muscles are weak in the shoulder there. And then as the bar goes up, don't let the shoulder go up. This is a very common mistake. But the elbow goes up and forward as the shoulder sort of melts down. It just stays where it is, but it feels like it's melting down. Shoulder down as the arm comes up. Okay. And then another really good cue. Some of us tend to overemphasize or pull mostly with the index finger or the middle finger, which associates with the biceps and the pecs here in the front. So this is already tight. Biceps is often stronger. So you're exercising the front line of the body instead of getting to the posterior shoulder, the back line of the body. So if you think about pulling the bar down with your pinky and maybe your ring finger, then you trigger the line that's on the back side of the arm, triceps, and then into the back of the shoulder here, right? So it's a really nice trick to get that going. If this works really well, and by the way, the red spring is kind of heavy. So if you really have somebody with very weak shoulders, start with a blue spring. So if this works well, though, you can scoot a tiny little bit away, pull down, and then push the bar away from you, and then control it back, right? So you want to see a fluid fluid movement instead of woo, right, letting the bar do the work for you, obviously. This is a very typical common mistake, by the way. So the torso wants to move out of the way so that we can use leverage to push that down. Obviously, don't do it. So a lot of people feel a lot of oblique work as they push through. These obliques have to hold the torso still so that the shoulder can move. That's a really, really good thing. Oops, that was a little choppy there. Sorry. I find this actually the harder position for my shoulder, so the more challenging position, but it's a little bit maybe nicer for the wrist. You can turn your hand around the other way and pull this way, okay? So what's the difference here is if my palm faces down, first of all, sometimes there's a little bit of a twist going on in the wrist, and that might bother somebody's wrist. So that's why this way, the wrist kind of stays straight the whole time. It's a little bit nicer. Here we have that sort of twist in the forearm going on. You can reduce this twist by moving the hand further back. So the more your hand is in line with your shoulder, the less the wrist bothers you. But you have to pay attention to what's going on in the shoulder, what I showed you in the very beginning. If now the hand is so far back that the shoulder comes up because the pecs don't have the mobility, then what's the point? Right? So then we're completely avoiding the purpose of the exercise here just to make the wrist happy. So we'll just have to kind of find a compromise. But yes, the further forward the hand goes, the harder, the more twist in the wrist. So that's why we have options, right? We can turn it around the other way, or we can work on something else before we go back to this one. But again, so you can push through. Oh yes, the other thing I wanted to say was when the palm is facing down, it's much easier for the elbow to kick back. And when the elbow goes back, that means your upper arm is internally rotating. But we want to strengthen the external rotators of the humerus, right? So you can have the palm facing this way, but focus on the elbow going forward anyway. And then again, you should feel it in the back there, underarm. Okay. See to pull down.